Smart24, driving business.
Hello there, a very warm welcome to the show. This is Financial Markets and my name is Anthony Sabale. You're watching Smart24 TV and we drive your business. The show, probably if you are new here, is brought to you by Altex East Africa. And with Altex East Africa and the Zabu initiative, we are saying you can do something new. Now with Altex East Africa, you can buy treasury bonds in East Africa using mobile money. That is why we are saying you are doing something new, because it's one of a kind opportunity to access the market regardless of the size of your wallet, regardless of the capacity you have. Now with a simple dial of *292# using your MTN or Airtel line, you can be able to learn more about the products, get to invest, starting off with as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Markets open at 8 a.m. and close at 3 p.m. At Altex, we say you can do something new. Let's get to dive right into the business here, of course, of the financial markets, global, regional, and domestic. Today is Labor Day and the markets are closed, so do not actually be tempted to go out and pressurize your stockbroker to get to access more stock or to be able to buy some more stock. But we are getting to, of course, look at the weekend and have a look at what were some of the big gainers, the big players of the weekend, and also getting to see how we are getting the markets kicked off tomorrow morning after a very long weekend since Friday. Now, let's get started off with, first of all, the Uganda Securities Exchange. On Friday, the last weekday of trading was quite a little bit slower. However, with a little bit more activity around the domestic stocks than usual. We had more participants in the market. Over 6 equities participated in the trading. However, the volumes, of course, did contract as investors really bought fewer shares in total, comparing it to the previous day. In total, we had just about 68,628 shares that were traded at a total value of over 3.4 million Ugandan shillings, including, of course, some of the biggest gainers in the game, as we're going to see later on. However, of course, this is a contraction from the Thursday trading, and consequently, in the entire week, we saw a little bit of decline in these figures here overall. However, the day ended with at least 2 gainers and over about 7 losers, which definitely harmed the all-share index, as you might already guess. Now, the biggest participants included Stanbic Bank Uganda, who recorded the highest volume of at least over 55,018 shares, and followed by MTN Uganda, trading close to 12,210 shares. And the Uganda Clay stock had at least 1,000 shares traded, and Cipla, Quality Chemical Industries, over 200 shares, DFCU Bank, over 100 shares traded on the market, and New Vision Printing and Publishing Company as well came out with a volume of 100 shares traded. In aggregate, yes, there were more participants, but the volumes were quite slim comparing with some of the days we had when Wumeme was trading and other big stocks earlier on in the week, last week, as we wound up, of course, the month of April. Now, getting to look into some of the biggest gainers here on the market, Centum Investments led the topmost gains at a 3.04% gain, closing the day off with 247.32 Ugandan shillings per share. East African Breweries Limited as well appeared amongst the gainers with a gain of 0.07% up to 4,417.41 Ugandan shillings. Now, on the closing of the day, we had 7 losers, quite a big number of losers for just a single day, especially for a day that is winding up the week. Well, DFCU Bank kicked off with the biggest loss for the day, at least losing close to 6.63% of value, down to 310.0 Ugandan shillings. As of course, investors continued to be sentimental about the stock that has currently not yet actually issued their financial results for 2022. Now, the Development Finance Company of Uganda currently is the 11th most valuable company on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with a total market capitalization of 232 billion Ugandan shillings. The stock currently trades at 310.0 Ugandan shillings per share after a loss of 22 shillings on Friday. That was a 6.63% amount of value that was actually dropped off from the shareholders' value on the market. This year, the company has lost some amount of value, significant amount of value over the last few weeks. When you look at the current performance, in 1 week, they have shed off 6.63%. That's, of course, from Friday's losses. Then in 4 weeks, that's in the last 1 month, they have at least lost 40.4%. Now, also in the year-to-date performance, it's not far from the monthly performance, because in the year-to-date or 3 months performance now, currently, they have lost at least a 42.9% as they began the year with a price of 543 Ugandan shillings per share. Now, shareholders' worries are compounded by the fact that in 6 months, the company has also lost 43.1%. Let's see what DFCU Bank stock looks like. Well, when you look at the dividend issuance of the company, first of all, the company hasn't issued dividend in quite some time. Last year, the banks were released from the suspension of issuance of dividends by Bank of Uganda. Remember, during COVID-19, there was a lot of businesses going down. There was a lot of need for credit, and the Bank of Uganda suspended for at least 2 years companies or financial institutions from issuing dividends. And this was as a move to try to create capital reserves, so that during the COVID-19 pandemic recovery period, these banks could have enough money to be able to lend to different businesses, so they could rejuvenate themselves and get on the ground running immediately after the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, banks like Stanbic Bank Uganda had already announced dividends for 2022, for example, and then consequently also 2021. Now, they were told to withhold that money, and as a result, they were unable to actually give that dividend during those periods. However, as soon as the suspension actually was lifted from the banks, Stanbic Bank issued a dividend of 100 billion, 50 billion for 2020, 50 billion for 2021. However, for DFCU Bank, that wasn't the story. The company did not issue any dividends to their shareholders, not even a bonus issue or a rights issue. Definitely, that could be some of the reasons that the company's stock currently is in the position we are seeing it in to the Uganda Securities Exchange. As at the moment, we are looking at the 7th most traded on stock currently, when you look about DFCU Bank on Uganda Securities Exchange. And in the past 1 quarter, they have traded close to 7,701 shares only in this 1 quarter. Comparing that with banks like Stanbic that have traded over 165 million in just the last 3 months, DFCU has a very, very long way to go in as far as attracting investors is concerned. However, yes, the stock is promising because definitely the space is growing. DFCU Bank has been growing recently with acquisition of different assets. And when you look at, I think, a snippet into their financial results for 2022, which have not, of course, been officially released, there seems to be hope, as the company also got to increase its assets this year by acquiring some stake in some other banks. Well, we are waiting anxiously, and of course, every shareholder is waiting what could be the fate of DFCU Bank on the Uganda Securities Exchange, especially as its price continues to fall from the sky. Getting to look at other, market bottom losers. East Equity Bank Limited also lost some bit of value at a 1.15% share price depreciation, closing the day with a price of 1,264.08 Ugandan shillings. Now, Equity Bank Limited is currently the most valuable company on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of market capitalization. However, the company's market capitalization has contracted nevertheless in this year 2023, comparing with the averages of 2022. Equity Bank Limited currently holds a total of 4.68 trillion Ugandan shillings in market capitalization. Currently, this makes it the number one most valuable, representing at least 23.6% of the Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. Now, the company's stock on a Friday closed at 1,246.08 Ugandan shillings, after a decline of 14.72 Ugandan shillings, marking a 1.15% loss on the company. Well, the company hasn't traded any stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange in the recent past, and recently they did issue their financial results for 2022 financial year, and you can check out those audited statements from the Uganda Securities Exchange website. That's at www.use.org.com, and get to enjoy, of course, the experience there and get to see what dividend they have in store for you. However, currently the company's performance has been marred by lack of participation, lack of enthusiasm from investors, and of course indifference from already the existing shareholders, without any show of interest in selling or any interest in buying more shares in the company. Next, we have Nation Media Group coming in at a 0.40% losses, down to a price of 439.68 Ugandan shillings. Nation Media Group is a media house here in Uganda, currently one of those that are looked up to when it comes to very, very great media houses in Uganda. However, when you look at their current performance on the Uganda Stock Exchange, their stock price has been falling from the sky, especially in the last 6 months. When you look at the span of the last 6 months, the NMG stock has been volatile, very volatile. And in the Uganda Securities Exchange, we haven't seen any activity. Getting to move ahead also, Jubilee Holdings Limited stock likewise saw a drop of 0.4%, down to a price of 4,994 Ugandan shillings per share. Kenya Airways dropped 0.4%, down to 105.25 Ugandan shillings, and MTN Uganda lost 0.20, down to at least over 165.02 Ugandan shillings. In summary, the exchange all-share index paired over 2.21 points, one of its worst losses in the week, countering at least 0.31% overall losses in the entire week last week, and a 4-week gain of 0.3%. Well, that's at least some good news there. Meaning in the last 1 month, at least April hasn't been a bad month for the stocks here in Uganda, and definitely looking forward to the new month now, May, and especially for those stocks that have not yet issued their fiscal results for the year 2022. It's of course high time they did so, because according to the rules of listing on the Uganda Securities Exchange, every listed equity or listed entity should issue the audited fiscal year or financial results for the previous year at least 4 months, within 4 months, not more than 4 months after the end of that particular financial year. So I think it's high time we saw CIPLA, it's high time we saw DFCU Bank and a couple of other stocks that have not been able to release these fiscal results to do so, at least with the immediate effect in this month of May. Let's get to Nairobi very swiftly and have a look at what Nairobi had in store for us on Friday. Now, in aggregate, there were 48 companies that participated in trade on Nairobi Securities Exchange, and the day ended with 19 gainers and 23 losers. Kakuzi led the gainers at a 9.97% appreciation in price, closing off at 424 Kenyan shillings price on Friday. Kakuzi has been one of the biggest gainers and participants on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Currently, the company enjoys at least over 8.32 billion Kenyan shillings of worthy of market capitalization on the stock exchange. And their price went up on Friday by 38.50 Ugandan shillings. Wow, Kakuzi is doing quite well. Yet in the recent few weeks, it was dipping. Their stock was actually falling. It fell on a single day very sharply, but seems to be getting back to its feet real quick. Kakuzi also, when you look at their 4 weeks performance, they have gained 76.9% in the last 4 weeks and over 1.07% in the last 6 months, meaning at least things have turned around in April for Kakuzi traders there. Kakuzi is also the 55th most traded on stock on the exchange, currently in the last 3 months, trading at least 11,200 shares on the market within the period. For those of you who don't know about Kakuzi, Kakuzi is a tea dealer. Kakuzi deals in the cultivation of tea, of course the growing, packing and selling of avocado, as well as livestock farming, growing and selling of pineapples, and the forestry as well as macadamia development. The company's products include, of course, tea, avocado, pineapples, orchards, livestock and forestry. And currently the tea estate they have is situated in Nandi Hills, located at least 330 kilometers northwest of Nairobi. That is Kakuzi for you. You can check out Kakuzi on their website at kakuzi.com and get to learn more about the company and see if you can be a prospective investor with Kakuzi. Now, Nairobi Business Ventures also added at least 9.57% of value to their holding. And when you look at Samia Africa, was also top gainer at 9.47% gain. East African Cables also added 6.67% on their value there on the Friday trading. On the losing side, however, Bamburi Cement came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of at least 14.11%, down to a price of 24.05%. When you look at Car and General Group as well, they've lost 5.54%, whereas CIC Insurance Group lost at least 4.42%. Now, Safaricom, on the other hand, recorded the biggest volume for the day. And unfortunately, this ended with a loss, continued at a 0.2 Kenyan shillings loss, down to 16.50 Kenyan shillings. Safaricom seems to be still going down recently. However, they will be releasing their audited financial statements for 2022 on the 11th of May. So definitely something that many shareholders are looking up to for the company's stock. Could this be some beam of hope when, of course, the statements are released? Because investors have been quite skeptical about Safaricom currently. However, also some good news coming in from Ethiopia is the fact that Safaricom is doing quite well there. And when you look at their current trends on, in as far as coverage is concerned, they're covering more even than some of the Ethiopian telecommunications company in as far as the customer base is concerned. And that is something, of course, that we can attribute to the very good marketing of Safaricom agents there in Ethiopia. Absa Bank also recorded 1.59 million shares, coming in the second biggest trader after Safaricom, which had 10.4 million. And CIC Insurance Group had at least 1.25 million shares, whereas Kenya Power and Lighting Company had a total of at least 344,000 shares that were traded. The NSE market indices, those that of course indicate the aggregate performance of the stocks on the NSE. Starting off with the Osha index, it of course dropped 0.94 points, definitely due to the huge number of losers on the market, and closed at 107.63 points. The NSE 25 and the NSE 20, of course, indices tracking the top 25 and top 20 companies respectively, also witnessed some losses at 1.02% depreciation and 1.61% depreciation respectively. Let's get to now the international markets and have a look at what it's like. Of course, today being Labor Day, the markets are closed, but we can have a look at what's ahead of the week in the United States. Now, banks are awaiting word from the United States government about the fate of First Republic Bank after Sunday deadline to submit bids for the San Francisco lender passed. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation invited several big banks to make bids, including JP Morgan Chase, including Bank of America and PNC Financial Services Group, according to people familiar with this matter. Now, Citizens Financial Group and US Bancorp are also reportedly invited in this bid. Bank of America decided against the bid, according to one of these people that is the people that were participating in these bids, and the US Bancorp had also decided not to make an offer, according to Bloomberg reports. Some of these same banks came, of course, to First Republic Bank's aid in March. When you look at earlier reports in March, with aid close to 30 billion in uninsured deposits, they were reluctant last week when it came to providing a second rescue on their own to First Republic Bank, fearing that First Republic Bank would be seized anyway. So there's still a turmoil in the banking sector in the United States. Silicon Valley Bank just closed recently. Signature Bank closed. Now First Republic. These are the biggest banks in the United States and probably in the world today, and they're collapsing. What will happen to the banking sector after this collapse? Of course, more questions than answers still linger in our minds, but we definitely keep you updated with whatever is going to be unfolding there. You can follow for more at our Twitter handle, that's at Smart24 TV, for more of this content. You can also get to us through our email, that is at smart24tv@gmail.com. You can also go to our website at www.smart24tv/ug.com. My name is Anthony, and thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, a reminder to tune in and get to enjoy Altex East Africa Zabu initiative. Simply go to your phone and dial *292#. When you do so, you will be able to buy bonds and bills in East Africa. Treasury bonds are some of the safest investments in the financial markets. Amongst all the segments we have the unit trust, we have the stocks, and so many others. However, Treasury bonds continue to be one of the safest and at least 99% safe for you to invest in. The return is guaranteed, almost 100%. And of course, with Altex now, we are bringing it closer to you by getting you to access the market using your mobile money. You can now trade with as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings off your mobile money with Altex. That's why we are saying you can do something absolutely new. That's it, my friend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today is Labor Day, and definitely the markets are closed, so don't expect any stockbrokers to be trading for you today. However, the markets will be open again tomorrow, so definitely I'll see you probably tomorrow and have a little bit more chat about the week ahead. I wish you a very happy Labor Day. Goodbye for now.